And by the way, if you guys haven't checked it out yet, Arn, I don't know if you have been able to see it. It aired last night. We're recording Monday here, but they did an A&E special on Dusty Rhodes. It was a 2-hour special last night. Man, it was so good. They got into his early 90s here and how he was booking WCW, but more of the story was with his family, and it was his reconciliation and with Dustin. And I highly recommend, if you haven't seen it, that you check out that Dusty Rhodes A&E special.
Funny you say that. We got practice today, Brock and I. We're going over to Lodi's gym and work out for a couple hours. We're going to watch it when we get back.
There you go. All right. I can't wait to talk to you about it once you do. So here we go. We have that group of antagonists. Dusty's doing his thing. He's just he's geniusing, as Dusty used to say. And you have this dreams match scenario going on. You got the baby faces that Dusty chose for you and Bobby, and of course the baby face team that he picks for Super Brawl. We've talked about it, the Steiners, and that's going to be the ultimate destination this month that we're going to get to as we continue through this episode. But before we get to the pay-per-view, we're going to talk about a little bit about what else is going on here in February of '92. And I want to begin our discussion here, Arn, by backtracking to January for just a moment to bring up something that we didn't get to talk about last week. And that is, it's what we like to call Christmas Day Part 2 for you, Arn. The termination of Jim Herd. Okay? Jim Herd was fired. Oh, good. I got to laugh at it.
Nice.
Herd had been in charge of WCW since January of 1989. And as we've discussed here on the show, Double A, he was responsible for a number of less than questionable decisions, usually tied to the amount of money the company was paying a performer. So even though so many good wrestling things happened on his watch, and here's a few things. You had the Flair Steamboat trilogy. You have the anointing of Sting. You have the emergence of Doom, and subsequently Ron Simmons and so many other events. But Herd also takes the blame for allowing Flair to leave WCW over a contract dispute. And by the way, Flair would win the Royal Rumble in January 19th of 92 and was the WWF champion during this time. Herd would be replaced by Kip Frey, Arn. And I want to know, what did you guys think of Herd being let go and this change of power to Kip Frey?
Kip Frey was as personable as Jim Herd was not personable. I mean, he was very easy to talk to. He was a wrestling fan. You could tell. You know, I had one conversation with him off the books, off the record, but just kind of sitting and talking. And, he was a wrestling fan to a degree. And just my luck, funny you bring his name up, he was put into power. Herd was out the door. There was like everyone was having a celebration as soon as we found out. Even if some of us, it was internally. You don't want to get too loud. It was just a April's Fool joke or something, and now you're really screwed. You go, what a dipshit. Oh, yeah, dipshit's just walked in the door, and he's still the boss. Mm-hmm. And so it just so happens my contract was getting close to coming up. And I talked to him, and I just said, I'll be here 3 years. I had a 3-year deal. When it comes due, I'd sure like to resign. He said, oh, Arn, come on, of course. Can't do this thing without you. So he pumped me up big time, but I don't think he was BSing me. It just so happens that when it came time for my contract to come due, he was no longer in that position. But we had agreed on kind of just tossing numbers around. How would you feel about this? How would you feel about that? He said, no, that's definitely in line. We'll make that work.
So he was already, you could tell, way easier to do business with.
I think he understood talent more.
Okay.
He had a better grip on who was what and what they had done and what they're capable of doing and who you need on your crew if you're going to get your superstars over. It was a more learned guy.
He understood the product, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, and as you said, he wasn't there real long. He had a short tenure. before he moved on. But I'm sure, like you said, it had to be a breath of fresh air for the talent, a welcome change, if you will.
I just wish my timing being everything in this business. If my contract would have came due while he was there, I feel like all the wrongs that Jim Hurd made, all the money it cost me, that would have made it right. So, but hey, we're sitting here having a good time, so we did something right.
Something worked out for you. That's right, buddy.